Panther people, what up? Hey Siri, what's 11 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? 51.8 degrees Fahrenheit. What up? I'm back. Phil Perkins here from the Panthers Post. It is a midweek edition. We're back in 4K. You're going to have all the graphics back. We're all editing this up. I am committed to having a midweek episode where we're going to recap what happened on Sunday, or in this case, Thursday. Hear from the players and coaches because there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this team. And then we're going to double up and preview the upcoming game. And then on the Sundays, because the rest of the games right now are going to be on Sunday, maybe the Buffalo game could be on a Saturday in mid-December, but that will be the live stream of the game where I watch it. People who are outside the geo-locked areas, or people who aren't living in North or South Carolina or surrounding states that might get Panthers games just on regular cable and don't have Sunday ticket. I hear you guys, people out there in Iowa, Alaska, Germany, Spain, who are either staying up late to watch it somehow in Europe, or if you're somewhere where you can't watch it at all, you're using me as your play-by-play and analyst, which I gotta say, I'm humbled to hear that some people are listening to a YouTube show while at work. That just blew my mind. And speaking of the live stream, I gotta say, I am going to get better. It's gonna get better every single week. My cousin, Hunda, Hounda, he's on Twitch. He also has a BMW vlog called BMW Lee, Lee. Shout out Korea. Teaching me the ways of the stream. For those who did tune in on the Thursday night game, I'm so sorry that how pixelated I was. I thought that was just something that, when you go live, it kind of downgrades a little bit. I had my phone flipped, so I was using the front-facing camera, which is not 1080p. I'm now, as you can see here, in full 4K 1080p using my rear camera. Just so much to talk about. I really wanted to start vlogging yesterday, which is a Monday, when Scott Fitterer, Mr. I'm in on every deal, red-eyed GM himself, Mr. Grown-up GM, Mr. Swindler, Mr. Dealmaker, Lando Calrissian, South Carolina, North Carolina style, struck again in the early season where he traded Dan Arnold and next year's third-round draft pick in 2022 NFL Draft for CJ Henderson, who was last year's 9th overall pick out of Florida, a cornerback, as well as a 5th-round pick. And let's be honest, so they did all this for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That 5th-round pick from the Jaguars is more like a late 4th because they are going to be dog doo-doo. I know they put up some points against Arizona, but they're going to be real bad. And so Dan Arnold, Sam Darnold connection, done. How many people have said that that's done? But guess what? That's fine. I'd rather CJ Henderson, JC Horn, Double H, the SEC duo. I think that sounds a little bit better to me. And of course, I haven't forgot about you, Dante Jackson. The SEC trio, you don't have an H in your name, so just Double H. Let's talk about this acquisition for the Carolina Panthers and what it means, why they're doing this. Of course, JC Horn is down. He's on the IR with 3 broken bones in his feet. I know it sounds bad, but there's a lot of bones in your foot. I think there's like over 20 or 30 bones in your foot alone. And if you take a look at the replay and how he hurt himself, non-contact injury, I don't know if he's the kind of guy who wears cleats that are really tight. I know a lot of professional athletes and athletes out there who like wearing really tight cleats. That plus maybe his feet aren't exactly that flexible. It was in an awkward position, and with a big dude like that much force on that turf. I don't know what the turf is like in Houston, but the fact that he and Christian McCaffrey and Burris went down, I got questions. I don't think we're going to see him until next year. I think they're going to take this slow. He is a very, very, very young, very promising player. I saw a stat where only 18 yards has been passed on him. Mind you, there was that touchdown late against the New York Jets, but I'm going to give that to him. But 18 yards only gained on JC Horn. And you can notice the second he was out, they were targeting his replacement. You see them target Dante Jackson's side way more during a regular season situation when JC isn't hurt. And so it's a big loss, but I do think they are making the right moves right now. That is good for the present, while also saving JC's future. Same way they kind of took Terrace Marshall very slowly in preseason during training camp. He wants to have an 18-year career. I'm sure JC Horn wants to have a 20-year career. I mean, why not? And so take it slow, take him to Germany, do that whole blood spinning thing and inject it back into his foot so he heals quicker. But just take the rehab slowly, take it smart, and then come back a better player. bring in CJ Henderson, who according to multiple reports now, I guess the Panthers told this to everybody, that they were going to draft CJ Henderson instead of Derek Brown in the 2020 NFL draft. Bill Voth, who is the head social media guy for the Panthers, digital content guy, actually tweeted a video, which you see right here, that actually showed the animation that the Panthers social media team created in anticipation of them drafting CJ Henderson. Fortunately, when you get drafted in the top 10, it's a dog poop situation. You're playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, as we remember, that 2020 year were awful. They were terrible, which is why they got the first overall pick, got Trevor Lawrence this year. So, and they're still dog poop. Sorry, they're probably going to be 1 and 2, picking 1 or 2 in the draft, because the Houston Texans are doing better than we thought. They're feisty, as we saw on Thursday. But anybody, it's all about situation. Just look at Sam Darnold right now. He's already surpassing stats in 3 games they did with the Panthers in an entire season spent in New York under Adam Gase. So I think the situation is going to be better for CJ Henderson. I think the coaching is going to be better. I think he's going to be put in a position to succeed. And I think that they believe in him. They're going to tell him, hey, we wanted you last year, and now we got you along with Derek Brown, along with Jeremy Chin, and Shaq Thompson, and Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Daquan Jones, Morgan Fox. Your job is going to be a lot easier because your defensive front is going to give you time, and it's going to give you really errant bad passes from a quarterback, and it's just going to make you a better corner. One thing I also want to add about the CJ Henderson pickup and what it means for this team, the mentality of this team, the mental makeup of the Carolina Panthers 2021-2022 edition, is someone asked Matt Rule, and this is what I liked. He talked to the media after the trade, and they asked him, does this mean that you're in win now mode, aka you think you're going to have something special on your hands here and make it to the Super Bowl and maybe win it? And Matt Rule said, I don't know what you mean by win now.
Trade, in your mind, have to do with the win now mentality?
I don't know what win now. I mean, we try to win every game. CJ Henderson's someone that we've liked a long time.
Love that mentality. Win now. What do you mean win now? Or are we not trying to win next week against Dallas and the week after against Philly? We're thinking, you know what, we'll lose that and we're going to lose this again. You just put your best team out there. No one wants to tank. No one wants the organizational tank like the Houston Texans. What message does that send to season ticket holders, PSL holders, and just general fans out there in the media? It sends a terrible message. A moment of silence for the Dan Arnold era in Charlotte. So it seems like the only real highlight in Dan Arnold's Carolina career is that behind-the-scenes Panther Confidential interaction between his agent and Suleiman, the cap genius, with the Carolina Panthers, because really on the field, he had less snaps on the field than Ian Thomas, who I didn't think was actually going to make the team, and just about 20 more snaps than Tommy Tremble, who we all have to understand now is the number 1 option for this team as a pass-catching tight end.
My first time touching the ball in college ended up being a touchdown, and same thing in the NFL. Of course, we had the preseason, but I don't count that in the regular season. First time touching it, it was a touchdown, so that was really awesome.
Let's talk about Christian McCaffrey and his bum hamstring. Now, the Panthers' Twitter and their social media just released a report late last night. I think it was around 7 or 8 p.m., that they actually think that Christian might be back sooner rather than later. So that's why they're not putting him on injured reserve, which will require him to miss at least 3 games. So that means he should be back within that range. And so he's going to miss the Dallas game, going to miss the Philly game. And who are they playing next? I'm sure everyone is saying this. They're yelling at me right now. You idiot. Why don't you know? There's going to be against the Vikings. You know what? I would have put him on injured reserve and then save him for the week after that when they face the New York Giants in New York. That's what I would have done. They think it's good news that Christian McCaffrey is going to be back sooner rather than later. My inner former athletic therapist is saying, no, don't say that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want him to rush back. It's a hamstring. It is a soft tissue injury. This is a dynamic athlete who is exceptionally fast and uses quickness as his advantage. That's what sets him apart from other running backs out there in the NFL. And if they're going to try to rush him with this hamstring, I tell you right now, it's going to be a problem later on. Maybe not during the regular season when the Panthers make the playoffs, because I know it's going to happen. That's when you're going to miss him. I'm actually quoting Cameron Ervin, who would have thought that he said, we're not the Carolina Christian McCaffreys. So You have a great offensive coordinator, great head coach, offensive coordinator, and Joe Brady that wants to be a head coach. He did show many great things in the second half of Thursday Night Football, showing some adaptation, getting a lot of guys involved in the offense. And so I think it's going to be even more diverse on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. And Christian, I know you have your own unique way of training in the offseason. You got your own trainers, your own medical staff, your own personal chef. That's cool. Maybe try a second opinion, because last year wasn't great with injuries. You trained too hard. You hurt your quad, again, with your own personal trainer. Maybe try a second opinion. Maybe the Carolina Panthers pay a lot of money to their strength and conditioning staff. Maybe listen to what they have to say and get on everyone else's page, because no one else is having soft tissue injuries right now. J.C. Horn was a structural injury. No one else is having soft tissue injuries, knock on wood. Just maybe open your mind a little bit and take their advice. Your Carolina Panthers, heading into week 4, are in first place in the NFC South. And the stats been thrown around all over the place now. Every time the Carolina Panthers have started 3-0 in their season, they have made it to the Super Bowl. And they also mentioned the Las Vegas Raiders. Every time they start their season 3-0, end up in the Super Bowl. So by that stat, that means we're going to have a Carolina Panthers, Las Vegas Raiders Super Bowl at LA's brand new super sexy stadium. I'm down with that. Got to beat the Cowboys. Week 4 in Jerry's world. I don't think it's in prime time. It is definitely not in prime time. 1 o'clock. The disrespect for this Carolina Panthers team is ridiculous. I wish they could flex this to the 4 o'clock game. That would be a lot of fun. But this is a huge game. This is a huge test for this squad. Obviously, the Saints were supposed to be a huge test for this squad. Obviously, they destroyed the Packers in week 1. But week 1, that was extended preseason. They mopped the floor with the New Orleans Saints. And now they head to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, who just obliterated Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to be surprised if by the time we play the Philadelphia Eagles, it could be the Gardner Minshew era. And if it's not, by the time we head to week 5, I think the Panthers are going to push Jalen Hurts out, Gardner Minshew and the mustache in. But before that, gotta beat the Cowboys. I'm going to say that 1,000 times. Take a shot every time I say beat the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. They are everything that's wrong with professional sports. They have all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, all the exposure in the world. For what? For what? They haven't won a playoff game since the 90s. All their success is in the past. All of it. The 90s, people. I was in single digits when they were good. It's going to be a battle of our very superior defensive line with their very superior offensive line. Mind you, there are some issues. La'el Collins was suspended because he tried to bribe somebody to not detect illegal substances in his body. So he's out. Their offensive line, of course, is the foundation of the rushing attack with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard, 2 guys who I think are going to run into a brick wall. That is Derek Brown and Daquan Jones. Of course, we are the number 1 defense for a reason. And I think that is going to be where the game is won and lost. If you make Dak Prescott force 50 or plus passes, which he has already done in a single game, then I think we win the ball game. I think the defensive line is going to be key here to keep things manageable and under control. As you saw on Monday night, the Philadelphia Eagles just could not contain this offense. They lost it at the defensive line, and then the Cowboys could do whatever they want. And then you're going to have to maybe drink a little bit more dad pops during this, but it's going to be our offensive line against their, albeit injury-plagued defensive line. But our offensive line has been rough, especially right up the middle. Cameron Irvin has been serviceable. They do need to do better with Chuba Hubbard, who we're going to get to later. Getting him to be better at pass pro. There were some points there where the defensive line just ran straight through and just beelined it to Sam Darnold. Guy's not going to last season if this offensive line doesn't shape up. And they're going to be battered by Cowboy fans, super annoying Cowboy fans. I know Roy Ryan's going to be there, and I know they're going to make their voices heard, but it's going to be loud, it's going to be crazy and obnoxious. They're going to be distracted by the huge Jumbotron, but the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys have to be put in check by this offensive line. They got to do whatever they can. Tommy Tremble's got to be even more violent with whatever chip blocks he can do to try to just give Sam Darnold time, because The dude dropped back, and then almost immediately, the amount of times that he had the ball just slapped out of his hands against the Houston Texans was too much. There are a couple fumbles there that were just too close to call, and it made me very nervous. So this game is going to be won in the trenches. I know it sounds cliche, but that's just the way it's going to be. I think, again, the Panthers' offense is very diverse, and if they get Robbie Anderson cooking as a deep threat, I feel, and also as long as Sam Darnold takes those risks, I think that we match up well against their defenders. Sure, they have Micah Parsons as well, but you have Chuba Hubbard, who hopefully gets a lot of good reps in with the first team leading up to this, and he can try to make him miss in the second level to try to gain some receptions, do his best Christian McCaffrey impersonation with an injection of Canadian maple syrup flavor. But also, I think, sure, Trayvon Diggs. That's his name. Trayvon Diggs had a nice pick six. Yeah, but Jalen Hurts also had a horrible game. But he's a great corner out of Alabama. But I do feel like as we get Robbie Anderson cooking, as much as we get DJ Moore, and we get some secondary help as well, and by that I mean secondary options like a Tommy Tremble, as well as Erickson, Chuba Hubbard, those guys, and also Terrace Marshall could be an X factor in this as well. If you have him in the slot, I think he could be a mismatch for some of their defensive players as well. But again, all this goes back to the offensive line, just keeping Sam Darnold as clean as possible. Now, I am predicting Panthers are going to win 24, because they haven't hit 30 points yet, 24-21. I think it's going to be a field goal game. Panthers going to win 24-21. I think Chuba Hubbard gets like 50 yards rushing, 70 yards rushing, 45 yards receiving. I'm just shouting him out as the Canadian here. I am feeling that. And I think DJ Moore gets a tug, and I feel like Robbie Anderson breaks one free. I think he breaks one free. I think they're going to start getting him cooking. They're going to feed him a little bit more. I do think that. I think we have way more skilled players than they have good defenders to defend everybody. And I think someone's going to break loose. I think that's going to be Robbie Anderson. So 24-21, Panthers are going to win. They're going to go 4-0, and then people still not going to talk about them. No, they're going to start talking. They're going to start taking notice, because after that is the Philadelphia Eagles back in Charlotte, and there's going to be 5-0, and then it's going to be the Vikings. That could be an upset. But then back to New York against Dave Gettleman's New York Giants, and I think we're going to wipe the floor with them. All right, that's it for Panthers Post. See you guys on Sunday for the stream, 1 o'clock. Panthers, Cowboys, going to be 4-0, baby. Let's go.